Welcome everyone and welcome to All In, All United.
Remember the comment he made?
I got some bars to these.
Run Ryan.
And the other thing, you have players out there.
I think the fellas will take it more serious.
What grade?
That one I don't know.
Yes, because at the end of the day, right now, Manchester United are
Welcome everyone and welcome to All In, All United. Phil, Simeon, it seems as though the local lads, because of the season that we in, has abandoned us, right? And I mean, when you're going through the situation, I mean, you can't blame them. But fellas, another tough one. It seems as though we're just going from worse to more worse to worse, and it's as a Man United fan, again, some feedback in the background. Yeah, Phil, that was coming from you. Yeah, and I mean, I don't know, guys, it's becoming harder and harder to come here and say the same thing over and over. I think we saw a game, and I think what has been the hardest all year is that penalty shootout. To get knocked out on penalties, I think it has hurt more. I mean, I honestly prefer to lose in normal time than to go out on a penalty shootout. Because somebody does always have to be the hero and the villain, Anyway, I mean, we out of the FA Cup. Fulham, advances for the first time since 19-something. We get beat at Old Trafford from Fulham. Another record broken. But for me, looking at the game in its entirety was a mixed bag. It has some positives, but then I mean, there's never the greater positive than to win. And we weren't able to win. So what are we saying, fellas? Phil, Simeon, what are we saying?
Boy, this is the cards. These are the cards that Amarim was dealt. So you gotta play these cards until you can throw them back into the pile or into the deck come this summer. Either keep some cards or draw a new hand. And I think it's a bit of both. Some cards will be kept, but definitely some cards got to get dashed away into the pile and never look back at that pile again. Boy, we could look at this in a positive way in just one more cup. Just one more cup until the season is kinda officially over. But I don't want to prolong. I don't want to call it pain, right? But it's more of like, is a hope that kills you, right? Because at the end of the day, these aren't Amarim players, fair enough. There aren't any leaders in this team. And Amarim is going to have to not take any vacation in the next 2 to 3 months when the season is over, right? He has to wipe out at least half of the squad and refreshen it, right? It will take a few months and a few training sessions post summer transfer window for the guys to get acclimatized. But if Amarim is not backed by the board this summer, then you have written your own what you guys call it? Like your own, I don't want to say death certificate. It's more of like you're getting fired, right?
Your own destiny.
Yeah, I mean something along. You're right. Your own. When you're in a job and you do something real bad, you're getting fired. That's what I'm saying, right? But yeah, in terms of today, I kind of called it in terms of like a couple days ago, where our match just had to be the last match, and you see a couple of football matches before, and they were exciting to watch. And then you come to our match, low quality game. We kind of were the better team, but it came down to penalties, right? If we have to rely on Bruno Fernandes for the rest of the season, we're not going to get anywhere. I'm sorry. So the writing on the wall against Real Sociedad, Spanish teams, and we never do well against Spanish teams. Teams that are more technically gifted than teams in the EPL. I wonder how we're going to fare against those teams, right? That could be our. And it'd be so funny. And I'll give it over to Simeon right now. It'd be so funny that these criminals turn up for the Europa League because we have nothing to lose, and they put in a performance versus Sociedad in both legs, and they go on to do this exact same thing for the rest of the Europa League campaign, play shit in the EPL like always, and then who knows, right? So
Yeah, Simeon?
I mean, you look at the teams going in, the kind of form we have, kind of kind of injuries we have, the players we have, the, execution in front of the goal we have. I always know this game is going to be tough, but, I think just to get to, a penalty shootout you know, was okay. I mean, it was an okay game. I mean, you might say that's not our standards, but the way this team has been playing, I mean, you really can't expect too much from them. You know, after all these years, these last five, more 5 years, I see the team, seeing better United teams get destroyed, embarrassed. In league games, you really can't. This team is one of our worst. I mean, we already established this is one of our worst teams to put on a United shirt. I think the standards are already low, so I think people getting too caught up when this team start playing, and every week we can't be shocked and dismayed. I mean, you have to look for the positives. There were a little bit of positives here and there, but then fellas ain't gonna take us, where we're gonna reach. I mean, we had more players, last year, better players last year, and we didn't do it, we hardly do anything. After we had better players 3 years ago, and we still struggle to do things. We have Rasmus as we striker. We expect Zirkzee, who just started playing good football, to do something. He ain't ready yet. He got problem. We have some of the worst, you know, pitch performing players out there. I mean, we all know people in sports who look good and can play, but when it's time to play, they can't do nothing. I mean, this team is full of players like that. So, we can't get too down on this game. I hope you don't have any real injuries come out from this game, and you just kind of take what you have and move on. I mean, it's a shame we lose the cup. It's a shame, but this loss was not today. It didn't make today. This loss was in January. This loss was last year. So I mean, just matter of time before we get knocked out of the cup. So I mean, I ain't digging too much horror. I mean, but you still have to wonder where how we go get better in the future. I mean, that's the biggest issue. And like Phil say, you know, we want one more cup, one more thing left, but we all want to know what's the next step. And the way the team and the way Ineos moving, and Amarim, his slick comments, you kind of wonder.
Yeah, yeah. So I know we want to get into the game, but you know the reaction of a lot of people post game, this come to the fore, and we want to I want to look at some of the comments, and I want us to, just talk on it a little bit, because a lot of people had a lot to say. It had a lot of different fan channels saying a whole mouthful. We also had a lot of, pundits saying a lot. And I want to just, quote one of probably the worst choice of pundit because of who they represent, but it's Craig Burley from ESPN. And this we had to say, he said Ruben Amorim has made Manchester United worse. Now, I know it's easy to say yes, because we're sitting in 14th. We just get knocked out of the FA Cup, right, by Fulham. Our performances have not been well, right? But do you all agree with Craig Burley here? Now, we know Craig Burley have an agenda against Man United, but at the same time, if the man talking true, we don't want to deny it because we don't like the man, right? But we still able to, as a fan base, sit down and intelligently dissect, what's going on here. So how do you all respond to this comment by Craig Burley? Ruben Amorim has made Manchester United worse. Phil?
Let's be real. If Ten Hag was still in the position, was still in charge right now, we would still be seeing the exact same performances, right? But there'll just be more idiots with microphones talking about Ten Hag out and this and that, right? Fast forward, has he made Manchester United worse? It's a good question. It's a bit of yes and no, right? Because he's come in to a bunch of players who, some of them threw previous managers under the bus. Some of the players are willing to work for Amorim. But I think after a certain amount of time or a certain amount of months gone by, Amorim and his coaching staff would have seen the weaknesses where other players have exploited us, right? And he probably will have to, not probably will have to, when he's seen other teams exploit us in certain areas, he has to sit down with his coaching staff and say, this is where we're getting exploited, let's say in the midfield, or this is where we have a striker that can't hold up the ball. And then the coaching staff has to take what they've seen in the last few matches and then relate it to the players, right? So if he cannot deliver that message to the coaching staff and the coaching staff cannot deliver those messages to the players, one of two things will happen. Players will have to go and he will have to get fresh new faces in the summer transfer window, or what is easy to do that we've seen over the last probably 10 to 15 years is to sack the manager, right? So it's a bit of both, right? Has he made United a little bit worse? To some extent, yes. But then I won't say the full blame is on him. Some of the players we all know have to take a majority of the blame, whether it's being out of position, whether it's giving away the football, whether it's the ability to not hold up the football, whether it's the ability to not do the basics, right? So yeah, it's kind of a bit of both. I won't say the majority is on Amorim because he's still new to the Premier League. I would say a majority is on definitely players. So yeah.
Simeon, what are you saying?
I mean, I agree with Phil. I mean, these players were crap coming in. I mean, but the system Amorim is playing is going to make their jobs probably a little more difficult. They probably got to think more, process more, be more. And you said Amorim wants them to be more daring with their passes and their touches and stuff. I mean, on some players, it's too much for them. Maybe with a back four or with the other Ten Hag style, they would have been more comfortable playing that. But not that really ain't much because even with Ten Hag style, they still, if you remember, they still struggle to play Ten Hag style. So you can't, you have two managers trying to, you can't have, manager after manager trying to, you know, you know, dumb their game down for players. So I mean, the players can't just, come to work and turn it on when they want to. They have to concentrate, they have to execute, and they're not very good at doing either of those things. Um, so Amarim has set standards, and who could make it. I mean, like I said, you have to, with in sports sometimes, when you're changing, you know, if you're a batsman, you're a bowler or whatever, if you want to change your technique or change your whatever you're doing, it's gonna take a while before you perfect it. You might might bowl a few balls and get for six, but after a while, you get the motion right and things work well. So the issue we have is we're Manchester United, and we'll get hit for six sometimes. A lot, and it's not going to look good, and people call for the coach be fired. But we all, I always knew from before Ten Hag, we need a year where we kind of drop we drop to learning and training new people, and putting a system to where we wouldn't be as good, but in the end we'll come back in the end, after a year or two we'll come back stronger. But it's hard to, and this is the issue with our team, it's hard to go through that process. And the way we do it now with the players we have and the state the club in, it's going to be even harder. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm glad we having, a kind of more mature view on this whole thing because, I mean, if we fair with ourselves, I think we all agree with Craig Burley's statement here, but not in the way, not in the form of a criticism, so to speak, because he did say that the storm coming, and I think you and Phil, Simeon, all mentioned it. Sometimes to get better, you have to get worse, because so much things inherently bad about where the club is and the squad and the mentality that you really have to strip it down before you can rebuild. And the stripping down process, people don't normally tend to acknowledge it as part of the rebuilding process. They just want to see the new structure. They want to see everything looking bright and shiny with perfect results. But oftentimes, we tend to want to ignore the stripping down and the breaking down part. And I think that's where we at right now. It have to get bad. And if you want to say that Amorim was the one who made us worse, yes, but for us to get better. And that is the only way I'm willing to accept Craig Burley comment. He probably have, his agenda behind his statement, for whatever reason or the other, right? But I see it in a way where it have a positive toward this statement, and that's just how I see it. We're going through a rough time. The man did say at the start of the season, he said, we are going to suffer. He said the storm is coming. And I believe at that point in time, he would have even recognized and noticed that the player profile that we have in the squad not suited to what he wanted to play, right? Somebody made the comment about Ten Hag. We had Ten Hag here before who played a system and formation that suited the players, and we were sitting in 8 and we were talking about how bad and how poor we were, right? So this is not like Amorim came in and was playing the same system that the fellas comfortable with, and we were doing even worse than Ten Hag. He changing the mentality, changing the system, he's making different demands on the players. So it only expected that things will get bad. Now, is the squad really this bad? I think that's our next conversation, So let me get into the game a little bit, fellas. Now, thoughts on the starting lineup. I don't think if I could just talk for everybody, I don't think there was much we could have asked or done differently with the starting lineup. I agreed with leaving Garnacho on the bench for two reasons. One, as a former discipline, right, for last game, but also recognizing the kind of impact Garnacho does bring off the bench, right? I thought Ericsson came in and Ericsson did it well. It was unfortunate that Ericsson had to get hooked, right? But I mean, it is what it is. I think apart from that, I would wish we had another option on the bench so that Hoyland could not play, but he's the only senior striker that we have. So I think Amorim kind of in a place now where he don't have much of a choice, or does he? Because we've seen Xerxes looking well in the 10, Go through fellas, team selection.
It'll probably be the same team selection we field from now to the end of the season, unless somebody gets injured, right? Well, the only person I can see being swapped out every now and then is the midfield, which will be Ericsson, right? Bruno started on the wing today, right? It looked like it. Got Ugarte
No,
and
Bruno was in the middle with Ugarte.
So where's Ericsson then?
Ericsson was in the 10 with Xerxes.
Ericsson in the 10 with Xerxes, okay. Yeah, I would say about 3/4 to 7/8 of this starting lineup is what we'll be accustomed to from now to the end of the season, bar suspension and bar injury, right? If Dorku wasn't suspended, Dorku would have started today, right? Ay, boy. I don't think the fan base has faith in Andre Onana. I don't think so. Well, I would say the fan base that's outside of this panel. I could be wrong, but
No, you're not wrong at all. You're not wrong at all.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, so I got fast forward a little bit, and then I'll get back to the starting 11. Why in extra time is Onana wasting time? Why is he wasting time? We can't depend on you to enduring 90 minutes. And you expect us to depend on you in a penalty shootout? But Onana, since you've been here, you've saved what? Maybe one penalty? One penalty, right? Yeah. So coming back to the starting 11, they ain't much on the bench, right? Would I try a different striker? Maybe Chido Obi instead of Hoyland up top? There's signs that there's something that we can work with Chido Obi, but he's not yet ready for the English Premier League as yet, and he'll definitely get there. But today we saw some things that he's 17 years old, 17 or 16 years old, right? So I have not seen. I've seen signs where he's not ready, but I've seen signs as we can work with him, right? So, I would definitely maybe start him the next game, whoever is against, because I'm kind of tired of Hoyland. Hoyland was okay today, better than previous games, but going from a 2 out of 10 to a 4 out of 10 is still underperforming, right? It was okay, nothing to make me stand out of my chair. Right?
Phil, you get Hoyland at 4 out of 10? Wow, that was a 2 from a 2 to a 2.2 out of 10 today, if I'm honest with you.
There had times. Look, there had times where he was running onto the football, and I expected him to give away the football or for it to be taken away from him, but it didn't happen. He actually held the football and passed off to somebody. So
what were them flicks? What were them flicks? Them useless flicks where
I know.
flicking the ball and giving
him and Xerxes were doing the exact same stupidness in terms of flicks and expecting others to be there as well too, right? And there are points in the game where Xerxes was expecting Cheeto to be certain places when he passed the ball. And they'll definitely work on that as the season progresses, right? But I mean, there isn't much of the starting 11 that I have faith in other than Ugarte and maybe to some extent Xerxes. Um, Delit had a few errors today, but I think he was still a bit solid today as well too, right? I starting to think I could be wrong about this. I starting to think we need backup for Mazrari on the right as a right back, and I'll tell you why. As a right wing back, Mazrari isn't as attack minded as a Dallo or Dorku. He definitely does the basics and keeps it composed, but I don't think he's the type of guy to be attacking um, other opposition wing backs, right? So I definitely would hope we can go for some sort of attacking wing back in the summer as well. It's a low priority because we got to get other men out first. But starting 11 it is what it is, right? I don't, I expect maybe one or two players to be rotated in the next couple of months for our starting 11 going forward. But you got to hope and pray that some of these guys don't get injuries or get suspended, right? So.
Simeon?
Yeah, I mean, not much choice. I mean, we see the bench with mostly kids. I always, I want Tito Obi to have more time to develop and more time to watch the game, get played before he comes on, and see how things going. You know, um, Rasmus, he's so far, this year he's been so disappointing. I mean, he not giving you almost anything. You wonder, it's been said that Amrim trying to coach him up and get him going, but you know ain't nothing happening. So I know Amrim, we gotta realize he's an investment this club make, a big investment. So they go try and do everything to get him going, but as of right now, I mean, we have him till the end of the season, but I think his career might be over before that. The way he going, his performances going to end his United career before that. So that's not good. He's lucky there isn't another striker in house. Was the each striker we had beginning of the season who we loaned out? I mean, all them men,
Weekly.
yeah,
Weekly.
all them men will get a chance the way how Rasmus playing. So lucky all them men went out. But yeah, I mean, we say that Obi he have a good physical feature, but against them men in the Premiership, you need more on that. Then for us, rough you up. His movement is, I keep seeing his movement looking good. Which is great. Is a good, nice thing to have. But with this team, it means little because the men have a hard time finding, people making runs. So part of me kind of worried. When you start making these runs and you start you're not seeing the ball, when you know who the run is on, when you start getting the balls, after a while you kind of stop making them runs, or you start thinking, okay, where else should I be if I'm not going to be there? Because then for us to pass me balls, so I kind of worried about that too. But the man will play because he have to play because there's nobody else. Onana, well, I guess he under 18 guy was there keeper today was there. So I mean, Onana time, he gotta make sure he keep not doing nonsense anymore, because I think I think Amram tired of his nonsense. But you look at his team, like I said, it's not much choices you can make. Ain't much changes. I mean, Ericsson, good to see him play because he's a veteran, international, the type of character you want on a team, but you know, the legs ain't there. You want to see him having more time. You figure one moment from him could, give you some goals, but I guess his time run out. I mean, you see Casemiro playing now. Casemiro wasn't really planning to get any time playing, but he has to play now. I mean, right now it's just there's not much choices out there. Which is, you said look at the youth, and it's not many guys getting time to play. Like, you see the defender come on. Is it Heaven? My name is Heaven. Okay.
Yeah, welcome to hell, boy. I was like,
You know, come on, and he look up. He do all right. But like, you wonder if things go downhill. If we get knocked out, if these fellows will have more time in the league. So we go see, since the league already kind of, in trash right now, we'll see if Amram get the next season, get these guys to play some games, with some more time during in the first team.
Yeah, yeah. I actually thought Heaven did well when he came on. I mean, and the fact that the squad's so thin right now in terms of who are available and how quickly turnaround games are. Players pulling up. Look today, Harry Maguire had to come off. Euro had to come off. So these guys they'll get games. And we call showing and come back now, right? Martinez out.
Yeah, was Amas on the bench?
Amas no, Amas wasn't there because he played with the youth team in the FA Cup or something. The FA Cup against Arsenal.
Yeah.
Right?
I really can't worry about him because you would think he would get some time.
Yeah, especially with Dorgu out, right? I thought Amas would at least make the bench because I mean we didn't even have the full complement of subs on the bench, right? But I thought Heaven did well when he came on. He was for a youth man. He was composed on the ball. He was making proper passes. I mean, it had a lot of, as I said before, it had plenty positives that I could have identified. In spite of the fact that we lost and we get knocked out of the FA Cup, right? When I compared this game today against the first game when we played Fulham at the first game of the season at Old Trafford, not only that, when we played them away at Craven Cottage this season, they were the better team. I've been honest with you. I'll tell me if I'm wrong, but today Fulham was not the better team. Yes, it was a low quality game, but we were better, right? Fulham barely got anything from us. Yes, they got the opportunities, but we created more opportunities than they did. Our problem is decision making, right? And I find sometimes when we get in chat, and let me tell you something, when I saw Leno save that Obi chance in I think it's the first half of extra time, I got a gut feeling that we was going to lose this game. Because to me, them is the chances when a keeper come out so clutch by. That is the moment it is just no, hey, that was my chance there, and we're going to lose this game. Let me get two comments here from Kristen on the inside. Thanks for joining, buddy. Right? Kristen saying here, Onana make more mistakes in 2 years than they here in 12 years. Let that sink in, right? You also saying here that you got more chances than Hoyland, and he played less minutes, right? Why is that? He have better movement. Hoyland days numbered that you start on Tuesday. And I mean, when you listen to Amram comment, it really, you really get the impression that he getting fed up at Hoyland. He getting weary at Hoyland. Because I'm telling you, in a team where we need everybody to just work together and work hard and try and, do the basic, simple things correct, Hoyland sticking out as a sore thumb. And for you as a senior striker, the number 9, to get sub off on the 60th minute for a 17-year-old Palos. Javid on the inside, thanks for joining, man. Good night to you. Glory, Man United. So when Garnacho missed that chance at the end of regulation time, I resigned myself to us not moving. This was our next one too. Thanks for this one, Javid. This was our next moment too. When Garnacho fluffed that chance, you just tell yourself, no, we ain't getting it. We ain't getting it today. We had enough opportunities only to win this game today. We created chances to win this game today, right? Javid also saying, I appreciate Xerxes empty he tank on that pitch, bro. He empty he tank today. Listen, the amount of time that man went down on his knees during the game, Kristen saying here, one thing I like about Amorim, he have them fellas fit. Because them fellas play with 10 men Wednesday, run 100 and to run 120 today, and Fulham look like a the tired team. We lack quality, but we fit. Yeah, we need more technical players on the pitch, man. You know? Yeah, so go through the fellas' thoughts on the game.
Yeah, as you mentioned, Fulham were not the better team today. There weren't moments where I felt threatened by Fulham. I was a bit more frustrated with us giving away the football and us booting the football up from the defense instead of looking to play it out from the back. And the main culprit of that were the likes of De Ligt and Bruno. I remember in the game today where I think Xerxes got hit in his neck. So there was a drop ball. And you know what Bruno did? Bruno kicked it to the opposite, kicked it to Fulham. People would say, "Oh, Bruno was trying to feed through Garnacho," but I will always say the way your midfield plays will dictate how the entire team plays. Right? If you are a winger and you're just seeing your midfield looking to boot the ball, you're more than likely going to be not part of build-up play. You're going to look to be this guy that's going to look to keep onside and beat the offside trap, right? There's no flair or excitement in this team. That all used to come from Ahmad, and I can see Xerxes trying to quote unquote bring it back because there are moments in the games that in the last probably 3 to 4 games Xerxes has been nutmegging guys and looking to play our players as well too. So there is some sort of, I don't want to say creativity, but you can tell that Xerxes is trying to be creative, right? And as you mentioned, in terms of the 120 minutes that was played today, the guys are fit. You can tell, right? But at the end of the day, the difference between a good footballer and a great footballer is mentality and composure, right? So for you to be able to still be mentally fit in 100 minutes of football, it all says something, right? Players, when they get the football in the 100th minute, they're going to look to boot away the football so they can get some rest, right? But, penalties is penalties. I was never confident in Onana, never. I said if Bayindir was in goal, I would have been a bit more confident, but Onana, nah. And yeah, that's my take on, I guess, the game, I guess.
Just before Simeon come in there, right? And as you mentioned at the Phil, I told myself, I say for us to win this penalty shootout, a Fulham player had to boot out the ball. He had to miss the whole goal. Because
Correct.
no way Onana was saving anything today. Right? And just to stay in the game, we just have to keep scoring and hoping at some point the nerves get to one of them Fulham players and then fellas play it off the back. Play it out. Because at the end of the day, every single penalty that is either Amorim dive, I'm not Amorim, Onana dive too early or he choose the wrong side. And it's unfortunate that we had to be the one missing. I just thought that as we went down, Fulham line, when the preferred penalty takers, would have been out and they would have been going to the other guys, then we'd have started to get some nerves coming in. But we didn't even stretch that length. I mean, why Garnacho didn't take a penalty and he's Ronaldo? Go through Simeon.
No, I mean like we said, I mean we ain't, we don't have that many flair players. I think we have Bruno there, but Bruno, when you watch Bruno when he was brought in, we had a different caliber player, and Bruno's job was to get a man the ball in, in good positions to score. I mean, when you have men like Greenwood and Rashford, and Martial, your job a little bit more easier. So I think you have Bruno trying to do too much sometimes with Rasmus and uh, if Ericsson up. I mean, we ask too much of Bruno and we get too little of Bruno. It seems like. I think this team really needs the wings to play better. You see what happens when the fellas run a simple. I mean, 1-2 cross. I mean, that goal that Bruno score. I mean, it wasn't like rocket science. It's not a nice movement. Get the ball on a dangerous. Look up first. Look up and put the ball in a dangerous spot. You know, but we can't. Why we can't do that? On both sides. Talk about Mazrari. Good player, but why we can't get crosses in a consistent way into the box? First time. We can't talk about Dallo enough. He finally get a nice assist, and that's good. But we need more from the wings. I mean, and Dallo should be the one, you know, pushing this team with his skill set. I mean, this is what Dallo should be good at. The step overs, he like to crawl when Ronaldo was here, he always doing put the ball in the box. But for some reason, we're not doing them thing anymore. And even when we get a nice combination, the the allergy we have to put the ball in the back of the net is incredible. I mean, Ganacho, you look at, you think Ganacho is going to come on and do something with all the, you know, I hate to, I don't want to go on Ganacho because he's a young player, but his finishing hasn't really gotten better since his first year. I mean, when he first came in, this issue we had was not his dribbling or his pace was his possession of the ball,
Decision making too
decision
selfish.
making, and finishing. I mean,
Yeah.
he might be working harder on defense right now, but the decision making has, you know, I mean, some games he's been good, but it seems like it's gotten worse. It seems like it got better, and then it got worse. And even so, if you're gonna be a selfish player, put the ball in the back of the net. If you're gonna take all these shots and need to score at least one of four, one of five, you might can't even do that. And this team has never been. This Manchester United team has never been that good. I mean, our style of play hasn't been good for years. But we've always had players that can put the ball in the back of the net. That's why we finished second. That's why we finished, fourth, eighth. All that wasn't because we were playing better footballs, because we could score when the time came, we could score. Now we time coming and we, put the ball in the stands. So I mean, it's worrying. That's why we didn't talk about relegation anymore. But that's why it was a thing, because good play or bad play, you say we had a better game today, but we scored one goal. It's the end of the day is about scoring goals. And we have the lit good I think a good defender, but then fellas ain't steady all game. And you don't have a steady back line that's gonna be, keep you, hold the other team to 0 goals every game. We don't have that. So you need for us to score up front. And because of what we did in the January market, we don't even have an option, to bring somebody else on. So, this game, like many of the games this season, has already been decided just by what we did last year and what we didn't do in January.
Let me just get some comments real quick here. So Javed saying here, well, contrary to what Phil was saying, Javed saying here they are not mentally fit, brains tired from minute one, right? He also saying here Fulham had a 15-16 penalty shootout earlier, so this was going deep if we actually scored ours. All right, and I guess added to the fact that Onana wasn't gonna save nothing, right? I can't knock Bruno today. He has been carrying this team for so long. Great ball to Chido in extra time that he didn't control. Great goal as well. I hearing us saying the fellas fit. Definitely not in front, not the front two. No urgency or press up front to support until the subs were made. But I think, Javid, we had to understand is two players pressing by themselves not making sense. So if it's a more of a mid block instead of a high press, because for the press to be effective, you don't just need your front two players pressing, right? Christian saying here, I said this earlier in the pod earlier in the season. Our problem was not scoring goals last season. We signed Xerxes, who best season in Serie A was 15 goals, and we got rid of McTominay and kept Casemiro and Ericsson. And McTominay was our number one goal scorer. All right. Any comment to this, fellas?
What was the statement that Xerxes, who best sees this year, has 15 goals? But getting rid of McTominay was always going to be part of the rebuilding of this team, right? It all started with Fred, then McTominay, then to some extent Rashford. Almost got rid of Garnacho in the summer, got rid of Anthony. This is all part of rebuilding the squad, right? Lindelof got to go. Rashford said on Sky Sports today that he wants to make his move to Aston Villa permanent. So let's see how that goes. And at the end of the day, it's all about system football, right? Players that score goals outside of systems, in terms of like if they're in a shit team, they'll more than likely score great goals in system football, right? So Xerxes and Hoyland, well, forget Hoyland, forget that scrub. Xerxes definitely, I would work with him for sure. 15 goals, we can get him to score next season if he has the right players around him. That's all I gotta say, right?
But even added to this, sorry, Simeon, but even to add to that in response to Christian's comment, we had to also recognize that a lot of key players missing from this team, right? I think if Ahmad was here, we would have fared better, right? Because I mean, there are certain aspects of the players and the team play that are seeing improvement, but we just not dotting the I's and crossing the T's. I think we're missing Meno big time, we're missing Ahmad big time, right? And we can't underestimate how key those two players could have been. Go ahead, Simeon.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously the goal scoring part is terrible now, but look at a team that was terrible at scoring goals, and you take Rashford away, you take Anthony away, you take Ahmad away. I mean, Mount wasn't really there to begin with, so we can't recall his name. But he's still getting paid. Who else? I'm not missing somebody. I mean, Mainu by himself could create chances. I mean, there's, Martinez is a good passer, chance creator himself. He did score some goals before. I mean, we don't have the players. We don't have the options. Our two right-sided, wingers, are either injured or on loan. I mean, Anthony, Sancho. I mean, we sent all these players out as bad as they were, and we didn't replace them. We didn't bring one attacker in, not one. We didn't even bring a Weghorst in. We didn't bring a Sabitzer in. You know, you know, We used. I remember when Cavani first came. I used to say, "Boy, why Cavani?" But what I would do for Cavani, right? Right now. I mean, we let this. This is kind of what I've been saying about this last window. It's like I feel like we've given up on the season, that window. I mean, I would hope we give up. I hope the answer wasn't that we broke. I hope we gave up on this season and we're expecting was happening to happen. Because if we broke and we couldn't bring in a striker. We broke, that'd be a big issue come summertime. But I don't know what you want Amram to do with these injuries and then not getting any replacements for what he sent out as far as the goal score. I mean, you can't go back and redo the summer, the summer transfers. We had Rasmus. They went and they got Xerxes, who, you know, wasn't. You can't expect him to carry.
Yeah, he was never prolific. He was never a prolific goal
Yeah,
scorer.
and what Varane said, in the interview, you can't have these players coming in from a young age and have them carry a team. You can't expect that from these fellas. So I
Yeah.
mean, and McTominay, yeah, the man can score goals, but at the end of the day, when you're struggling financially, and there's somebody saying go buy McTominay, what you gonna do? So
Yeah, but me I miss McTominay. I don't care. Me I miss him. Right? Now Amrim been saying a lot, right? He had this comment in the pre-match press conference, and he said, "I'm quite honest with my players," and this is something that Phil would love to hear because he's been saying this from a long time, right? And they already know that sometimes they have to move on at the end of the season. Right now, if we read in between the lines, right, it might be safe to assume that Amorim don't tell who not gonna be around. He probably don't tell them already, right? Do you all think that this could be a contributing factor to why some players not performing at the levels that we perhaps would expect them to perform at? Perhaps they were already told. All right, let me just use an example. Hoyland, he tell Hoyland, hey, we gain a striker, and I mean, the club don't really have money, so we might have to move you on, right? You all think that perhaps this comment was made prematurely, or he should not talk to the players and tell them that? Do you think that may have put them in a mental space where they're not going to fight for anything, and wherever is wherever, que sera, sera?
I mean, it could be a contributing factor, but any future employers, your future employers are going to decrease, right? Because if you get told, let's be real, you don't want to be told that you need to move on at the end of the season because your morale and mentality are going to go down, right? But it takes a different type of player to say, you know what? Let me prove Amarim wrong. If not, let me show other clubs why they should come and get me, right? Right now, you proven Amarim right. And right now, any potential club that's going to come in for you. If it started at, let's say, 7 or 8 clubs, it's going to decrease as the season goes along. Right now, if 7 or 8 clubs were after Hoyland, right now, just using your analogy, right now it's down to like probably 5. Down to 5. Because if you're playing if you're playing this way based on what Amorim told you, then you're proving Amorim right. So it's only that we as fans got to go through this sort of like shithousery for the next 2 months, 3 months. Yeah, so he's just one example. And I know as of recently, Casemiro made two comments. He wants to stay and fight for his position at Manchester United. I ain't believing that. Trust me. And two, his second comment was a few days after saying that the only way I'm going to leave Manchester United is if somebody's going to pay the exact same salary. So which is it, Casemiro? Do you want to fight for your place at Manchester United, or do you want to stay at Manchester United because we're giving you the biggest salary you have ever earned in your life? Come on, we're not dumb, okay? So which one is it, Casemiro? Which one is it? But yeah, your analogy with regards to Hoyland, what Amorim said, I called it. I called it last year, probably November, December, early this year as well too, right? Amorim knows the guys at his disposal. He's going to have to tell them at least a month in advance. He did better than I expected. He's subtly, indirectly telling them at least 2 to 3 months in advance. Hey, some of these guys going to move on at the end of the season. And he's going to tell maybe one or two or three of his coaching staff, or he will talk to the board. Then some people in the board will talk to the sporting director, and the sporting director will talk to the agents of those specific. He don't want to go through all that headache of going to a player and saying, well, you've done okay, but it's time to move on. He don't want to go through all that. He'd rather send people to do that for him, which is rightfully true, right? Because he don't want any player to come and be hostile and what's not, right? So at the end of the day, look, Amran made those comments. He is rightfully so in making those comments. You as a player, it's totally up to you what you do afterwards, right? And how you take those comments.
Yeah, yeah. Simeon, you want to jump in?
I mean, yeah, I think if it's gonna affect any player, it's Rasmus, because he's still, I mean, really, he's still a young striker, and he was, when he first came in, like, as far as players coming to United, like, he was one of the most excited to come to actually be here. He was all on social media. He actually, this is the club he wanted to be at. So to be told that, after getting this chance, that he's not good enough, I could see how that could affect. I mean, professionally, yeah, you want to go out there and prove him wrong, but as the kind of player he seems to be, I could see that affecting his head, mentally. But at the end of the day, it's a business, it's a sport. You have to go out there and perform, especially on the level he's, and perhaps it's unfair. Perhaps if we had another striker here, that could have shouldered the weight. Um, he could have, taken more time to get up to speed, but he played so much and showed so little. To it's hard to hide for him. You know, and the money they paid for him, another thing. So I could see Rasmus being, you know, devastated by that news if that was in fact given to him.
So you think that is what possibly contributing to his performances?
If he was told that, I mean, it's one thing to have fans say he ain't good enough, but to have the coach say, hey, you really ain't that good. I mean, we give players a lot, young players a lot of responsibility and a lot of hype coming in. I mean, we didn't give him 70, but he was the price on his head was that. So going from, the rise he had was so steep. I mean, this is what he wanted. This is his dream club, more or less. And for it to be over so soon, that can't be, that can't be good. That has to be demoralizing for him. But at the end of the day, like Phil said, you look at Xerxes, what he went through, you gotta play out in the field. You have to perform. You gotta show something at least if you want to stay at this club, and he has been able to.
Yeah, yeah. Um, Christian saying here, I'm not saying we're supposed to keep McTominay here. I'm just saying that Ronaldo was our best goal scorer. We sold him McTominay the season after. And the players we replaced them with are terrible. So it's down to our transfer business. Yeah, I
It
can
ain't.
agree with
I
that.
mean, and we said before, it's not just McTominay and Ronaldo. The players we got rid of. If you go back 4 or 5 years, go back 4 or 5 years, we got rid of quality and brought in question marks. I
Yeah.
mean, we had the strikers we had. I said Cavani. He wasn't good enough when he came in, but since he left, we haven't got anybody better. Greenwood, young, promising, what you call generational talent. We didn't replace him with this, you know, Ronaldo came back. We didn't replace him yet. We Martial left. We replaced. I mean, the level of talent we didn't replace at that position is horrible. I mean, Sancho went out. Anthony went out. Rashford went out. We couldn't get one player in. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah. I think Amarim was dealt a really, really, really tough hand here with this because I mean you say it so right, Simeon. The amount
Irene,
of yeah,
you see, I said you something about the. I think it was Arsenal podcast or talk about the best, who have the best strikers better than their striker situation right now because their attackers are injured, right, for Arsenal, right? And they're showing, who have the whose attacking force is better than Arsenal's. And like they went down the list from Liverpool down to City down to Bournemouth, and for some reason they say our attacking force was better by a little bit. I don't know how, but it's bottom three. It's bottom three right now. Bottom three as far as attacking talent we have right now. Was it Ganacho, Xerxes, and Rasmus?
yeah,
That's
crazy,
behind.
crazy,
I mean,
crazy.
only Southampton and who? And Leicester.
Yeah,
Worse.
yeah, crazy. That's real crazy. Um, Christian saying here we let both McTominay and Amrabat go and we keep Ericsson and Casemiro. We was always heading for downfall. Yeah. So, fellas, what's now? What could be realistic expectations for the remainder of the season? Well, I think realistically, we short on numbers. We running them fellas to the ground, men pulling up in games. And I mean, you expect when we see kickoff, we expect them fellas to play like mad dogs, give you 110%. But Xerxes play 120 today, Bruno play 120, you know, Delit play 120, Dalo play 120, and we expect them to come again, without any rest or rotation against Sociedad on Tuesday. So I mean, right now, if we have any hope to play European football next season, is the Europa League, right? With that in mind, what would be realistic expectations for the remainder of the season?
In terms of the entire season or certain cup competitions or
Everything, the whole.
um let me see how many points we're on today in the English Premier League. Let me see. Let me see how many points we're on. In terms of Europa League, boy, just get as far as we can, boy. That's all I can say. Get as far as we can, and whatever happens, happens, buddy. Seatbelt is. I don't want to say the seatbelt is on, but the seatbelt is loose. And I think when the Europa League comes around, I think that's when you're taking off the seatbelt and be like, you know what? Good run. So right now we are on 33 points after 27 games. Boy, roll to 41 points. The roll to 41 points, boy. So that is what? At least 3 games, 3 wins. Roll to 41 points, boy. That's my expectation. In terms of Europa League, yeah, just I don't expect much from these criminals and I get in Sociedad. If we manage to pull off something, I'll be quite surprised. Right? A lot of people are doing this whole blind faith. Nah, not me. My glasses are on and I can see what's going on. My eyes are open. So yeah, roll to 41 points and see how well we do in the Europa League, boy. That's all I can say.
Yeah, yeah. Simeon?
I mean, you said, Karim, you said the two most, hated words. I mean, for United fan, talk about how hope and expectations, man. Like we don't do that here. Hope and expectations. Nah, we don't. That them thing forbidden at this club, man. We can have hope and expectations. I mean, maybe we, tie a game, against Sociedad, or we put a good fight up. But I do expect. I mean, we can't score goals. Our defense is not that great, and our goalkeeper gives goals away for free. I mean, it's almost impossible to win that trophy. You know, it really is. I mean, you know, we have no real attacking threat. Garnacho is the most dangerous person, but Garnacho, you can't trust Garnacho to finish or make the right pass. Xerxes, same as far as passing wise. We don't have that kind of, you know, team, and like you said, if I was tired, I mean, for me, the biggest thing is not, you know, embarrassing ourselves. I mean, it's been a while since we get, beat down by a team. When I say beat down, I mean scoreline wise, 4-5. I just want us to finish respectably, probably improve the way we play football, you know, um, and get to the end of the season. I mean, it's kind of late to expect some of them players to start scoring goals, start Rasmus start scoring goals, and we can't expect Cheeto to come on and do a thing. I mean, it's real late, to have that kind of you know faith in his team because we didn't see it from the full team, and now we on the vast, the junior team. It's kind of hard to expect much from this team. We get a miracle here and there. I don't know who's coming back and when. But right now, we just gotta try and have games like this where we stay in, and hopefully we get that moment here and there.
Yeah, yeah. I agree with that. I agree with that. Just try to not get embarrassed, stay in the game, and who knows what could happen as opposed to try going for the jugular, you know. Um, I, I mean, that's just me sitting from outside looking because after Sociedad, we are Arsenal. And as Phil was saying, if it's road to how much 9 points, um, we can kill out ourselves against Sociedad and then go to Arsenal and expect because it's the same men running to the ground. The only positive for the next 2 games, which is the first leg against Sociedad and Arsenal, is it had no extra time. I mean, we could possibly force extra time in the second leg at the Europa League against Sociedad. So, guys, I think we at the end here. Thanks to those in the comments. We know this evening, and this season that we're in is not really a time for people to sit down and take in any podcasts, at least not in Trinidad.
Must be nice, Kareem.
And then on top of that, now the team not even willing to, encourage the viewing. But we here nonetheless, because there's what we are about. We committed, we love what we do, and we here, So, guys, we again here on Tuesday. So say that. All I could ask for now going forward is improvement in terms of performances. And I think once we continue to perform well, we will create chances. And it's just really and truly for, those tasked with the responsibility to finish the chances. Because, again, today was a much better all-round performance, as I said before, albeit it was, two low-performing teams, we were still the better team. We created more chances, but we just couldn't score. So when you play better, guys, you just create chances, and it's just a really score. So that is all I could hope for going forward. It is what it is. Anyway, so Simeon and Phil, guys, it was nice having you all on board, on the panel, those in the comments, those who are watching it live, those who go to watch it delayed. Thanks for your viewing, thanks for your subscription, thanks for your likes, thanks for your shares. Have a good night, everybody, and see you on the next one.